Well, our government, will run out of money next Friday unless Congress can pass a major spending bill.
But several members of Congress say they are willing to shut down the government if the young people known as dreamers are not protected.
And there are a lot of those dreamers here in South Florida. With the issue expected to be debated next week, we want to take a closer look at the proposals that are out there. CBS 4 investigator Jim DeFede is here with the details. Jim?
Guys, there are 5 different proposals to help young people who are now facing deportation after being brought to the country as children by their parents. But not all dream-related bills are created equal. We are going to look at the 2 leading bills, the 2017 DREAM Act, which is sponsored by Democratic Senator Dick Durbin and Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, and the Recognizing America's Children, or RAC Act, which is being promoted by South Florida Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo. There are significant differences between the 2 bills. Let's start with age. The 2017 DREAM Act covers anyone 17 and younger, and the Curbelo RAC Act only protects those who came to the United States when they were 15 or younger. Each bill has certain conditions that need to be met, for instance, regarding education. The 2017 DREAM Act would require associates or 2 years towards a bachelor's degree, but the bill allows some flexibility. Curbelo's RAC Act is more stringent, requiring enrollment in college in the first year of eligibility. If they seek to meet the work requirements through military service, the bipartisan DREAM Act calls for 2 years in the military. Curbelo's RAC requires 3. And if they seek to meet the requirements through working, the DREAM Act requires 3 years of employment. Curbelo's RAC Act requires at least 4. Now, the Migration Policy Institute studied these bills and determined their impact. Under the 2017 DREAM Act, at least 331,000 more young people will be allowed to stay in the United States compared to Curbelo's plan. Now, Curbelo's office defended his restrictive bill, saying it was designed to act as a fix for DACA, which was issued by President Obama. They said Curbelo's bill matches the conditions originally proposed by Obama. Nevertheless, immigration advocates are not supporting Curbelo's bill. Earlier today, I spoke to Carla Hernandez-Matz, the president of the United Teachers of DeFede, who was arrested earlier this month in Washington, protesting on behalf of Dreamers. The bills that Curbelo is proposing helps fewer people. Is this an area of concern for you?
It certainly is. Obviously, I'm very optimistic, and I want everyone, or as many people as can, benefit from this bill to benefit. So I'm always going to look for the higher number. But there's an issue when you see that one of the bills does not have bipartisan support. It has only been supported by the Republican Party. The DREAM Act is being supported. It does have bipartisan support, and I think that says a lot.
Now, the DREAM Act is supported by at least 211 Democrats and Republicans. Curbelo's bill has only 35 co-sponsors.
I think it's an issue that he certainly had to take on. I hope that they're all good intentions. I think that he does have good intentions, but he's also vulnerable in his district. He knows that this is a district that is certainly impacted by it, and he's up for re-election.
Jim, this is an issue that affects so many young people here in our community. A lot of them are older than 15 and 17. Why would Curbelo sponsor a bill that protects fewer people?
Well, look, that's a reasonable question, because the concern among advocates is that when you start with a weaker position, which Curbelo's bill is, you end up having a problem. You end up with an even more watered-down bill. However, there's a more pragmatic view. It could be that Curbelo believes that by doing this, by bringing in a more reasonable bill, in his opinion, it has a greater chance of passing, because let's face it, we've been trying to do this for a while, and the DREAM Act has not passed in the previous years.
What are the chances of either of these bills passing?
Well, look, it's going to be tough. Carlos Curbelo is one of those members of Congress that has said he will not vote to keep the government open unless something is done. So there's that. And there are a number of Republicans in both the Senate and the House that feel the same way. The belief is that if you can get this bill to actually come to the floor, either the RAC Act or the DREAM Act, that it would pass. And Carlos Curbelo has said if it came to it, he would vote for the DREAM Act.
The vast majority of these young people who were brought to this country when they were kids, when they had no say in the matter, they are productive members of our society. It's terrible to see them as a political football, but that's basically what they are here.
No, and look, and one of the things that is often caught in this is that President Trump said that if this measure isn't fixed by March, he will intercede and possibly change his opinion about deporting Dreamers. The problem with that is it gives the perception that we can wait till March to fix it. Every single day that passes, 122 kids currently protected by DACA, President Obama's order, falls off status and could be deported. And that number will grow exponentially. Every week that passes, that number goes up. So every single day, more kids are being left vulnerable.
And I know you have an interview coming up this weekend with someone who is planning to oppose Carlos Curbelo.
We do. We have the Democratic candidate who's seeking to oust Curbelo, and this is one of the issues we talk about. We talk about tax reform. Carlos Curbelo was a key player in writing the tax bill. He sits on the Ways and Means Committee, so a lot coming up this Sunday.
All right. Look forward to it, Jim. Thank you. And look for much more on this story Sunday on Facing South Florida. Join Jim at 8:30 a.m.